Interstate 76 through about half of it, and I drove out of the state of Pennsylvania on the same interstate, actually a little bit longer route on the way out than on the way in. Those were my 2 runs. There's no way to pay the tolls at the time. If you're not a part of the automatic system, they just bill you in the mail. So lo and behold, my toll comes through. Would you like to take a guess at what the bill I received in the mail is for my 2 drives in the state of Pennsylvania?
Probably less than Bruce Barnum's beer bill at Hillsborough Stadium on Saturday.
It wasn't 15 large. It was not that much. Nonetheless, $325.
Yikes.
So I said, well, no. Like, I'll take the hit to my credit score, but I'm not paying this. So I called them up. Well,
nothing like announcing your presence as a fugitive on the radio.
Well, I mean, it's just, there's truth and justice, and I'm about them both, So they made there wasn't, I guess, not an error per se, but it didn't register my truck entering. So then it just charges you for the entire state. So that took about $130 off the bill. But also, how about this? They charge you by weight and classification. I drove in with my truck and trailer. I was a Class 3 vehicle. It was $38, which, by the way, to drive on an interstate is expensive. You know what I mean? I'm paying you $40 in addition to the gas and the food that I'm buying in your state to just be on this interstate, which the taxpayers already paid for anyway. Okay, that's fine. On the way out, they put me as a Class 5, which is a 35 to 45,000 pound unit. Call it a semi-truck, a fully loaded semi-truck at that, which I ain't. So I'm still in pretty serious negotiations with the state of Pennsylvania. It took me a long time today. I got behind on the cooking and cleaning I was trying to get accomplished at the house. And so then I had to make up for that, made my date with the grocer late, and it made me here now. So that is how this happened.
The most circuitous route ever to get to the ESPN Missoula studios. But we're happy to have Ryan Tutel here in studio with us. This is the Northwest Motorsports studio. I didn't even tell you all the good stuff because Ryan had me laughing so hard. You are watching on SWX Montana television. You want to listen to the show other than the radio. You can find it anywhere in the world, streaming at 1029ESPN.com. Click on Listen Live. You can also call us or text us. Tommy made this easy for you. 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. And, of course, be sure to subscribe to YouTube. Next week, when the calendar is about to turn October, we are going to tell you about our fall giveaway. We've never given you this many things. I promise. That is for sure. I don't know if it's necessarily the number one cash value. It could be. We once upon a time gave away a knife that cost like $1 million.
Yeah, it wasn't that, but it was more than my turnpike bill.
No question. I mean, it was thousands and thousands of dollars of knife. That was an amazing present that we gave to one of our lucky listeners. But the point is, you have to subscribe to our YouTube channel to be eligible for all of these things that we're going to give you. So be sure to take care of that, get it out of the way, give you the details of the contest next month. It's time now for All Football All the Time, presented in part by Sportsbet Montana. Sportsbet Montana is powered by the Montana Lottery. Join in on the excitement for Sportsbet Montana by betting on your favorite sports and sports teams, both collegially and professionally. There are multiple ways to bet, including in-game, which gets you in on the action live as the game unfolds, and parlay betting, where you have a chance to win big. Sportsbet Montana is a secure and interactive way to win while watching your favorite sports. Gus, our good friend and colleague, Sean Rainey, has gotten very serious about these gambling things.
It's terrifying.
Our Make It Rainy podcast, I can't really even hang anymore. It used to be an NFL analysis podcast where we sort of kind of joked and gambled this fake money, and
now he's teasing hooks and doing everything.
Units and leans, and I'm sitting here like, I don't know. I'm just like, pass. I don't know what these guys, it's amazing. So we're just using the lines here as sort of I think that just using lines, though, not necessarily for picks or for a competitive standpoint, just for a gauge of what you think that the game is going.
An entry point.
Exactly.
Yes.
So instead of, this isn't necessarily our quote-unquote pick the lines. This is just us talking all football all the time, and it happens to be through the lens of some of the betting lines at the Sportsbet Montana kiosks, but these are, in no way endorsements of what we would go do it's just a good opportunity for us to analyze the NFL.
Risk. People know that.
That's
right?
exactly right. Yeah, you play at your own risk, but hopefully you give a little thought at least to our points of analysis. First and foremost, before we get to this week, last week, the Green Bay Packers were staring an 0-2 start right in the face, trailing Detroit at halftime. I know that there was a lot of things that went into that first half, but it was a moment where they had to put their foot down on the gas. Speaking of Sportsbet Montana, I went and bet $20 on the Packers to come back and win that game because I just knew that they had to, and they did. But what did you think of it? Because basically 6 consecutive flat quarters before the Packers really got going.
Well, the Green Bay Packers are a straight-out disaster. Like, there's no – I don't care what quarters or halves or whatever you pick from. They're going to score points. The way they got Aaron Rodgers, and they got a really good offense. And when they get Bakhtiari back in particular – they're going to score points, and you know what? They're going to have to because they might have the worst defense in the NFL. I'll throw the Jags in there. I'll throw anybody you want. They are horrific defensively, and that ain't changing. I mean, they got rid of Mike Pettin, and they wanted to change. You know, they wanted to get better. Kevin King got beat in the NFC Championship game and a touchdown at the end of the half, lost in the game.
When did they give up on him?
Yesterday,
right.
Monday. I mean, last week, whatever.
He was a second-round pick. He was a top 50 pick. He was supposed to be one of the guys. I mean, this was the biggest argument against what Aaron Rodgers railed on in the offseason was we never draft skill players. Well, but you do draft guys that are supposed to be frontline level secondary guys, and he's not it.
And he's opposite, Jair Alexander, who's one of the top 3 in the league in what he's doing. But it just doesn't matter because he can lock up all day long, and it's just a sieve on the other side. And it also, when Jared Goff stands back there.
You love Goff.
And just does whatever he wants. He could build a skyscraper in the amount of time that he has to sit there and assess and throw the football. Any NFL quarterback is going to look great. And he looked great. And he ain't great. The Green Bay defense is awful. They can't get home with 4 guys if they were given 15 full minutes to try and do it.
Wouldn't you agree that that's the most important thing that you need to be able to do to be a championship contender in the NFL right now is rush the passer?
It's
secondarily, I think, is quarterback, but I think that because the quarterbacks have become, there's so many good ones, and the rules are so different, you got to be able to get home without blitzing. I think that is the number one key to be able to contend for a championship.
Yeah, I mean, No, I don't think it's the number one key, but I think it is probably the number one defensive key. And being able to create a pass rush is critical. There's a lot of different ways to do it now. It used to be, well, who's the guy that can get around the corner the fastest? Now we got Aaron Donald chucking dudes out of the way, coming straight up the middle, go double leg gap. Whiff on their defensive drafts. I mean, not even foul balls. I mean, just strikeout. 3-pitch strikeouts.
Isn't that bizarre? Because most of the guys they're drafting seem like they're going to be good.
And I am speaking specifically about pass rushers, okay? They've drafted some really good defensive players on the back end, which you're going to hit when you take, 11 of your top 12 draft picks over the course of 4 or 5 draft years and make them secondary defensive players. Anyway, we spent too much time on the Packers. They're wrecked, man. They got no chance of making it back to an NFC Championship game.
So who's going to actually win that division then? Because the Vikings
they'll win
terrible.
No, they'll win the division.
Okay,
they're going to get to the playoffs in virtually being in a bad division.
It's just a significant step back from being Final Four like they have.
They are not as good as they've been the last 2 years, and other teams, especially in the NFC, are better, and they have regressed.
Nuanez now, 102.9, ESPN Missoula, SWX Montana Television. Ryan Tutel joining me, Coulter Nuanez, here in the Northwest Motorsports Studio. Trucks, and more trucks. That's their slogan. I went down there yesterday to look at some trucks. I mean, they got more trucks than I ever seen before in my life. The notion that it is the largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest It is not a marketing ploy. It is an absolute fact. Unbelievable the amount of trucks Northwest Motorsport has down there. Let's talk about this week, Gus.
Yep.
Tonight, what a barn burner. The Carolina Panthers at the Houston Texans. The Panthers are so interesting to me because there's this internal thought, or I guess this within the league thought, that Matt Rule is a good coach. I'm not sure I'm ready to say that yet. There's also all these rumblings that Matt Rule might go be a college coach here again soon. His name is like Urban Meyer, where it's going to always pop up for big-time college jobs. But Carolina, I don't know. I mean, they have one of the best players in the league in Christian McCaffrey, Sam Darnold, a fresh start. But I have no idea what to think of the Panthers, and I have no idea to think anything but that the Texans are just terrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're not on board with the Panthers now, you're likely not going to be after tonight in virtue of the opponent they're playing. Although the Texans are 1-1. Granted, one of those is effectively a bye week against the Jaguars, but a lot of people thought the Texans were going to be what the Jags are, and they've been better than that. So, I guess we can say something nice about Houston in that respect. But I think Carolina is the most under the radar team in the NFL. I don't know that they're the most underrated, though they are. But they're certainly a team, especially up in this neck of the woods, that nobody talks about. They don't get a lot of, publicity. They don't get a lot of exposure.
Never on TV.
Their offense is so nice. DJ Moore is the best
really
wide receiver that nobody cares about in the NFL.
No, he is very, very good.
He is elite. He's a top 10 wide receiver in the league. Everybody does know about Christian McCaffrey, but primarily because of the numbers that he puts up. And I think a lot of people pass that off to usage rate, and nobody really appreciates how actually good he is. He is beyond good. And I think Sam Darnold is really good. And, yeah, I think it's an opportunity to come back from the dead that is being the quarterback of the New York Jets. We're already seeing what's going on with Zach Wilson. Thank you very much, week 2.
His mom doesn't like that very much either.
But the point is that they got a chance to be good. I thought, though, that they would be mediocre to straight out bad on defense, and they're better than that. Now, this is not an elite defense, but they are playing really good through 2 weeks. Sample size small, opponent, take it into consideration. I get all that, but they've been much, much better than I think people expected. And I think that Carolina is, a contender within their division and has a very real look at a playoff spot through this small, early couple weeks that we've seen. I certainly anticipate them winning handily tonight, notwithstanding whatever can happen on a Thursday.
They're likely the favorite in their division, right? I mean, because the Colts are 0-2, the Texans are terrible, and the Jags are terrible.
Yeah, I think anybody would have picked the Colts coming into this season. I don't know that. I think there's a lot of people who still think Indianapolis is the team to beat in a division, but I think Carolina is quickly changing that, and I if you're going to ask me right here and now,
Carolina's in the NFC South. That's why I'm confusing myself here. I was just thinking, how could they possibly be the favorite?
Why would you do that?
I know we're confusing the Titans and the Panthers. The Panthers. They still might be the favorite. Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the favorite in the South, but the South, neither of the Southern divisions are that particularly good. Besides,
because they're better than Atlanta and maybe New Orleans.
Maybe
those two games are going to be big games, right, between the Panthers and the Saints. But I think that this is a team that has a very real look at a playoff berth.
It could be. We'll see as this progresses. All football, all the time. Presented in part by Brett's RV and Marine. Brett's RV and Marine has their summer clearance sale going. Head on down to 4800 Grant Creek Road. They've been family-owned and operated for more than 50 years. And right now, they're buying, selling, trading, all that. Great discount prices on some of the best and most diverse inventory anywhere you're going to find in the state of Montana. So head on down to 4800 Grant Creek Road. Check out Brett's RV and Marine. Last week, we haven't even talked about this. This is Thursday. We haven't even talked about this. Mm-hmm. If we were here, this would have been all of we. If you would have been my full-time co-host, this is all we would have talked about. Just because you're so, I don't even know. There's not any words I can say on the radio. You like to rub it in. You like to rub it in. The Vikings, of course they did, missed a game-winning field goal for no less than the 30th time in my lifetime. I think that they've probably cut more kickers in the season, within a season, than all the other teams in the NFL combined. It's astounding. They've had guys like Blair Walsh and Dan Bailey, who are all-time great kickers, go there and they can't make a kick. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about how impressed I have been so far with the Arizona Cardinals. They've made significant upgrades in a lot of areas. I think that they have grown offensively, and I think Kyler Murray, he was banged up a little bit more than I think we thought last year because he looks back to his absolutely electric self. So your thoughts on the Cardinals so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I feel like we're looking at the Cardinals team now that we thought we might be looking at last year and then didn't really get delivered.
Sure.
And now
part of that is just when personnel goes down and stuff, though.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, when Chandler Jones is healthy, you got Chandler Jones, and helps.
and Budda Baker too, great, doing what he's doing. So their defense. I mean, look, they gave up 33 points to the Vikings. They can't be that good. But
Vikings are pretty good on offense. They just have some issues.
But they what they do is they do make big plays. I mean, I think it too. The NFL anymore defensively. You talked about the pass rush. I think preventing teams from scoring points. Obviously, that's the name of the game. But in the NFL right now, I think as much as anything, it's can you make a play on a third down to force a punt?
Yep.
And can you make a turnover? And if you can do those things, you kind of live with, some of the other, the other teams are going to score 20 points minimum in the league. Like if you're not scoring 20 points in an NFL football game, get out of here. Offensively in this day with these rules and the way the evolution of the offenses, have been. So can you give your offense additional opportunities? Can you outnumber, the chances that you get in your defense deliver on that? And I think Arizona's can, but offensively, it's electricity right now in Arizona.
The Cardinals, by the way, play the Jags. We're not wasting any more time talking about the Jags than that right there. A couple more games during the morning session on Sunday. Atlanta's playing New York. Not much intrigue there. I don't think either of those teams are very good. Chicago playing Cleveland. That's an interesting one just because the Bears are going to beat a couple teams this year they're not supposed to beat. They're not sexy. They're not that good on offense, but they are good on defense. And there's going to be a day or two or three where, Khalil Mack and all those great players defensively, I mean, they have some of the better guys in the league at certain positions. I mean, Keem Hicks, one of the best inside guys. Roquan Smith, one of the best linebackers. So there's going to be a day or two or three where they just stuff somebody. I don't know, though. I don't think it's going to be Sunday in Cleveland.
I don't think it will either, especially Justin Fields getting his first ever start. I mean,
right. What do you forgot that they were going with Fields. That's interesting.
Well, they're in theory, Andy Dalton is injured, and they are, Nagy today, in fact, said that when healthy, Andy Dalton is our starting quarterback. So they're sticking with that, but going with Justin Fields in virtue of the injury. Even though, by the way, nobody remembers Nick Foles is on the team also. It's pretty good quarterbacks, actually, if you take them as a group. I think when we look at quarterbacks who get taken, and it feels like even more quarterbacks are being taken earlier in drafts in the first round in terms of the total number. I mean, used to be you'd have 2 or 3 quarterbacks that would go in the first round or the first 20 picks. Now it feels like there's 4 or 5, sometimes in the top 15, top 17 picks in the first round. So many guys going around. But how
that's
good...
because these teams foolishly think that that's the only thing they need to do to fix their franchise.
Well...
if you just do that and then you leave them out to dry, you just get Sam Darnold.
It just depends on the team, right?
But you got to help these guys out. You either have to spend money or draft capital or both in protecting the quarterback and having some sort of functional defense. You can't just let it ride and expect this guy to do something for you.
Well, of course, and we've seen plenty of teams do that. But also, the Bears probably are a team. It's a good example of a team that, hey, let's go get a quarterback. They have a pretty solid team in certain respects. And
that's actually unfair of me to say they're unsexy because they actually should be better on offense than they are. And the quarterback spot, to your point, has actually been what's holding them back.
But what is wild is to see all these quarterbacks who go out and just sling it and are great. And even a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who is the hands down, can't miss prospect since Andrew Luck, probably, to come out.
Certainly.
And he comes out and does what? Couple 3 touchdowns, couple 3 picks. Exactly. And looks and missing throws, and you're like, well, what's going on here? Well, what's going on is that it's hard to play in the NFL. And when you're a rookie quarterback, it doesn't matter who. Didn't Peyton Manning set the all-time rookie record for interceptions?
Certainly, yes.
And it takes time. So Justin Fields is great. I think that Justin Fields is going to be a good quarterback in the NFL, but not Sunday against Cleveland. No. Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett, thank you very much. Let's go get after the mobile rook. Welcome him to the league. That's what the Browns are thinking about, and I anticipate they'll execute it because that's how the league is.
Nuanez now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana TV. Ryan Tutel in studio with me, Colter Nuanez. It's all football all the time. Presented in part by Sportsbet Montana. Bets can be placed securely on Sportsbet Montana kiosks or on the mobile app while you're at any authorized Sportsbet Montana location. Montana bettors, they've wagered more than $28 million since Sportsbet Montana launched, and that gives back to some of their retail partners as well. It's a safe and fun way to bet, so just go find yourself a Sportsbet Montana kiosk no matter where you're watching the NFL games on a Sunday. What did you think of the Sunday night game? Between first of all, those are the two most entertaining quarterbacks in the league.
It was pretty much as good as it gets.
Lamar Jackson is silly, man. I know that Patrick Mahomes is so breathtaking, but Lamar Jackson does 3 to 4. Give me the changer. I have to rewind that.
Yeah,
it's unreal.
His jump sideways throw, which is a throw that was so very Mahomes-esque. Right?
He had like a 3-yard run to the sideline in the first quarter where he just stopped on a dime, waited for the defender, stiff-armed him, and then tiptoed up 2 more yards and stepped out of bounds.
Has anybody, I mean, if you are a season ticket holder, I know that these were not home games, the Sunday nighter was, but point being is, you got a season's worth of entertainment out of the Baltimore Ravens in 2 weeks.
No question.
You talk about the Raiders game, which is one of the wildest regular season games I've ever seen, in the back and forth, and then it's a walk-off touchdown, and everybody's leaving, and then it's not, and then they got to come back and throw the whole thing, and then you go in and play and beat, with no running backs left, the Kansas City Chiefs, and again, the first time for Lamar Jackson in beating Patrick Mahomes. I think that is a little over. It's just too big. The quarterbacks don't play each other, man.
Sure, but I totally agree. But
they are two of the best teams, and obviously the comparisons are what they are for a reason. But I mean, it just doesn't get better than that. I mean, the NFL is why it's the NFL. It's why people love it and are into it, is because of games like this that the action never stops, and that was that. I mean, it was awesome, and those are two. The two of the best teams in the AFC goes without saying. I think a lot of people have Kansas City as the best team in the conference, if not the league still. And Baltimore, I think a lot of people are still trying to figure out what are they. But once again, they're proving that they are just going to be around like they always are, and are going to be a tough out and probably win games in the postseason at some point when they, after the end of everything, when it all sort of works out and they get their running back situation stabilized and their defense stabilized, even losing Marcus Peters, obviously Dobbins, Edwards on running back as well. But Lamar Jackson, man, if he's taking another step, the next step, which is, if I can say it, the quarterbacking step, and I know a lot's been made of that.
Sure.
He's starting to show that, and that's got to be terrifying to everybody else.
So many more storylines to talk about. We're going to have to save it for a little while because we have some fun guests to get to. Mary Louise Cook from the Big Sky Conference, Inside the Big Sky. She's the director of broadcast and digital media for the Big Sky.
Mary Louise.
She'll join us here next on Nuanez Now. Thanks for swinging by, man. A great impromptu performance.
Oh, it was a treat to be here. I'm going to get the kids home and make some dinner. That's what I do.
What do you make it?
Taco salad at the house.
Now,
Thursday night football, it's going to be great.
I'm going to be hungry for the rest of the show. But I'm going to give you some sandwiches a little later on, so stay tuned. Nuanez Now.
Garden City Paint and Glass is proud to offer a huge variety of high-quality paints and stains at affordable prices, like C2 Paints, Dunn & Edwards, and Prolux Seekin Paints. These brands offer you great quality and great prices. The trained staff at Garden City Paint and Glass will help you with the right colors and tools to get your project right. Visit GardenCityPaintandGlass.com for more information, or give them a call at 549-0608. Garden City Paint and Glass, locally owned and serving Montana for over 30 years.
I love family road trips. Wind in my ears.
Good dog.
Fridge in my mouth. And peace of mind knowing Les Schwab did our tires, brakes, and alignment. Like Les Schwab, my family's safety is my first priority. Well, that and squeaky toys.
Swing by today and get road trip ready with our always free pre-trip safety check.
Les Schwab Tires. Applies to passenger cars, SUVs, and light trucks only. Details at leschwab.com/safety.
Paul Ryan is a name that's been synonymous with law around the Garden City for decades. And Paul is excited to announce the expansion of his firm to Ryan, Holloway, and Miller. Paul Ryan, Nate Holloway, and Angie Miller have a fierce love for their community and want to help you with any of your legal needs. From auto accidents to medical malpractice to wrongful death or any criminal defense, Ryan, Holloway, and Miller should be your first call. Paul has established a reputation as the top legal mind in Missoula, claiming the Garden City's best attorney honors 13 different years. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller is a local firm with experience and intimate knowledge to help clients with any needs. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller will be available to take your calls at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So no matter what your legal needs in western Montana and around the Treasure State, when it comes to personal injury or criminal defense, call Ryan, Holloway, and Miller today. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller, your Montana attorneys.
Just because the summer sun is setting in Missoula doesn't mean you have to slow down. Buckle up behind the wheel of a Northwest Motorsport lifted truck, diesel truck, or off-road ready SUV and find your next adventure. Rain and mud are just around the corner. Check out over 1,600 vehicles at nwmsrocks.com. Prepare for a fall full of fun with the largest selection of pre-owned trucks and SUVs in the Northwest. That's Northwest Motorsport. Excellent service, incredible inventory, and of course, trucks, and more trucks.
Open your new Stockman Bank account anytime, anywhere with online account opening. Now, you can open an account in minutes on your laptop, tablet, or mobile phone. It's convenient, simple, and secure. Open your new account today at stockmanbank.com. Then, add our online and mobile banking services so you can manage your money when, where, and how you want. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Member FDIC.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The Knights have endured a great deal already this football season, and tonight, Missoula Hellgate looks to bounce back against a Flathead team at the beginning of a rebuild. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. The opening week of the season saw Hellgate lose on the last-second field goal to Great Falls CMR, and the following week, Hellgate posted their first win, a 42-20 triumph over winless Belgrade. Week 3 saw Hellgate's crosstown matchup against top-ranked and defending Class AA state champion Sentinel canceled because of COVID-19 protocol, and last week, Hellgate got ripped on its homecoming, losing 63-6 to Helena High at Washington Grizzly Stadium. This week, Knights host winless Kalispell Flathead, a team that's been outscored 188-21 so far this season. Braves are led by first-year head coach Alex Cummings, a Missoula Big Sky alum, played his college ball at Montana State Northern. Friday night features a home game for Missoula Big Sky and a trip to yet another showdown for the Spartans. Eagles will host upstart Butte, the number 3 team in Class AA, thanks to a 3-1 start. Bulldogs lost their first game by a single point to Billings Senior and have won 3 straight since, including a 34-20 win over Helena. Spartans travel to the capital city to take on a Bengals team coming off of last week's offensive outburst against Hellgate. Finally, Missoula Loyola will look to improve on its 3-1 start with a trip to face number 6 Eureka.
This 102.9 ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
What up, Montana? Happy Thursday. Man, the days are flying by. That's how it rolls during football season. Happy to be here. Nuanez now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. I'm Colter Nuanez. I promised you sandwiches. That's because we got a new giveaway. It's an oldie, but a newie. It's definitely a goodie. 6-pack and a sandwich from Warden's Market. Warden's, man, I've been going there since I was a kid. It was our tradition. We'd go there post-game after Grizz games, get a Whoppa when I was in middle school and high school. Gotta love it. They still making the same great sandwiches. The deli's awesome. Thursdays, I love to go hit up the Meatloaf Thursday. Awesome, delicious. And you're always going to see somebody you know. Warden's is like the community gathering area. I love it. Located at the corner of Spruce and Higgins. You want to go check out Warden's? I got a 6-pack of beer and a sandwich for you right now. All you got to do is give us a call. Call number 3-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Call number 3. Got a 6-pack and a sandwich from Warren's Market. All you got to do is give us your name. We'll put you on the list. They'll take care of you when you head on down to Missoula's oldest grocery store. 888-1029, your chance to win 6-pack and a Sammy from Warren's Market. Well, happy now for another edition of Inside the Big Sky with Mary Louise Cook. She's the director of broadcast and digital media for the Big Sky Conference as a whole. And Mary Louise, we were joking a little bit before we started here. Not enough coffee in the world, so I hope you're staying caffeinated. I know I'm staying caffeinated up here in Montana.
I sure am. I've got my almond milk iced latte here accompanying me right next to my laptop. It's a good day. Can't complain.
Well, Sean Rainey from SWX Montana and I were joking about this. You know, it is hectic. This time of year when you work in the media, covering the league as a whole, as you do, I mean, it's a lot of stuff. You got a lot of things to keep organized and all that, but it's so good to be doing this. So good to have football back in the fold.
Oh, 100%. You and I have talked about it. I am just so thankful to get to cover a full Big Sky football season. This is my first time getting to do a full season. The spring, it was nice that we didn't have every single team in the conference participating. So it has been a lot of fun, and definitely the Big Sky has been showing out, which has, made it all the more special for me. So I'm loving every single second.
Well, let's start with the latest of those victories by a Big Sky squad over a FBS opponent, and in this case, a Power 5 opponent. This is the first season ever Big Sky Conference has taken down 2 Pac-12s after Northern Arizona took down Arizona in Tucson on Saturday. First time since 1936 that the Lumberjacks won against the Wildcats, so an impressive win for Chris Ball's team. They had struggled their first 2 games against Sam Houston and South Dakota, but this just sort of the feather in the cap, kind of the last cherry on top for the Big Sky in the non-conference, right, Mary Louise?
Oh, absolutely. What a way to end the non-conference season, head into conference play with that momentum. The fact that they were able to overcome a 13-point deficit is incredibly impressive. And then you add the fact that the Lumberjacks were on the road is just amazing. I spoke to the Defensive Player of the Week, Harrison B. Miller, linebacker from Northern Arizona, earlier this week. And he is such a cool story because he actually joined the program in 2019 as a walk-on. As a junior, he's now a graduate student, and there's so much maturity that he possesses. I talked to him about, that word, momentum, getting that victory, on the road against a Power 5 opponent and, helping make Big Sky history. And he said that, while it's going to give them a lot of momentum, it's also going to take a lot of maturity to focus and not get distracted as they head into conference play. They're going to be playing Northern Colorado. And so he said, he attributed the win to energy and effort. And so you definitely saw that watching that game. But that was a fun one. That was a fun one. And what a way to end the non-conference season. And so, again, really cool story with Harrison B. Miller there, but I'm excited to see what the Lumberjacks continue to do. What a great first win for them to have.
Excellent first win for sure, especially for a guy like Chris Ball as well, who was at Arizona State, so he's gone against Arizona quite many times in his career. Mary Louise Cook joining us. It's Inside the Big Sky. We do this once a week here on Nuanez now. She is the director of broadcast and digital media at the Big Sky, and I think that it's such an interesting point, Mary Louise, that refocusing, having maturity, not letting that FBS win get in the way of what's next. That I thought that was a key storyline for all of these teams that pulled upsets. And, well, Eastern Washington went out and scored about 125 points over the last 2 weeks after they upset UNLV. UC Davis, they've hung, 53 on San Diego and 60 last week on Dixie State. And Montana, they gave up 8 first downs and 150 yards against Western Illinois after beating Washington. So I think all the teams pretty much refocused, pretty impressive. But let's start with Eastern. Last week, Eric Berrier, wow. I thought it was a misprint. I got an ESPN alert. 487 yards, 6 touchdowns in the first half. I couldn't believe my eyes. What did you think of Eastern's offensive explosion last week?
Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding me? Eric Berrier has got to be one of the most exciting players to watch in the FCS. He is just, he's incredible. As you said, breaking that FCS record for most passing yards in a single half with 487 was just super impressive. Again, talking about momentum heading into conference play. That's going to be awesome. So yeah, as you said, explosion. I think that's the only way to describe that offense. It's funny, in the staff meeting, I always, and for the Big Sky, we're always talking about what it is that we're working on that week. And so when I was saying the player of the week for football that I was going to be interviewing this week, I said Harrison B. Miller, and they said, not Eric Barrier. And I said, well, I've interviewed Eric Barrier so many times. He was the preseason MVP, so I interviewed him at the Big Sky football kickoff for that specific honor. And then just, because he was there representing Eastern Washington, and I highlighted him for a number of other player of the week honors. And I said, I'm not concerned about Eric Barrier. Like, I will catch Eric Barrier another time throughout the season because he is just dynamic time and time and time again. Offensive explosion is the only way to describe that game. Incredible.
You're smart to slow play the Eric Barrier, else you might just have him on like 6 or 8 times in the next couple of months. That's how good he's playing. Well, smart by you for sure. Well, let's look at the Big Sky Conference this week. Obviously, big matchups across the league. You never know in the Big Sky Conference. If you're on the road, at home, whatever, if you're not ready to play, this is a league where everybody can win on any given Saturday and everybody can lose on any given Saturday. But one of the premier matchups, a matchup between 2 top 15 teams, UC Davis heading to Ogden, Utah to take on Weber State. And Davis has been good against what some people would call a soft schedule outside of that Tulsa win. Weber State has struggled a little bit, but they played at Utah and they played against James Madison at home. So they played probably the toughest non-conference schedule in the Big Sky. What do you think of this matchup in Ogden on Saturday?
Yeah, this is one that I am extremely excited for. Unfortunately, won't get to be there in person for this, but I'm really looking forward to watching. As you did say, Weber State has had a tough schedule, and so they've only had that. They've had that one win that they've had, but again, tough schedule. So it'll be interesting to see them going up against UC Davis. Weber State was picked to win the league, whereas UC Davis was picked more in the middle with 6, and it's interesting now that we have everything going and getting into conference play. I think, as you said, every single team has to show up every single week. You can't just show up complacent or expect to succeed based off of past achievements. And so both teams are really going to bring their best, I'm sure. And so, we talked about Hunter Rodriguez last week, quarterback for UC Davis. He has been tremendous so far this season. And so it'll be a lot of fun to watch that one. That's ranked conference matchup of the year in my eyes.
Mary Louise Cook, Big Sky Conference, joining us. It's Inside the Big Sky, sharing some fun stories about the athletes that make this league so great. And Mary Louise, one last question for you. I know you guys love when there's stories that get national attention from around the league, and one that certainly did this last week or so is Bruce Barnum picking up the tab at Hillsborough Stadium. Portland State's head coach bought all his friends about 2,100 beers on Saturday. But a cool shtick and a great way to promote your program, and just another feather in the cap for Barney. He's the guy he's like the marketing maestro, the marketing master up there in Portland.
He is so funny. As I was thinking about different storylines and stuff that I wanted to talk about, I'm looking at these teams that got their first wins in the league, right? So we had Southern Utah, Portland State, and Northern Arizona. And Portland State got that victory over Western Oregon. And I was thinking back to the football kickoff when Coach Barnum, objectively, I think he's got to be the funniest coach in the league. He's sitting there telling me about how he put up saloon doors in their office. And I'm like, please explain, please elaborate. And he's telling me that it's because, when you look at the teams that they have to win or that they have to beat, it's teams out in the West. And so he's like, you got to remind them about the Wild Wild West. And so I put up these saloon doors. And so I was just thinking about that and reflecting on that. So I'm not at all surprised at what he did. I'm glad that it got the attention that he did. He is such a guy and such a character. So that was pretty cool to see.
Well, Mary Louise, thanks for giving us the time today. Before we let you go, what are you working on upcoming? Where can people find you? Where can they view your awesome content?
Yeah, absolutely. So every Wednesday we have Around the Big Sky going out on Big Sky social media, on Twitter and Facebook and TikTok. A lot of fun stuff going out on TikTok, by the way. Bryson Lester from our staff communications does a lot of our TikTok content, and it is really, really funny. Also, we have SDS All In, where we have all the conferences from around the SDS sharing feature stories as well as previews and recaps. That goes out on the SDS All In YouTube channel every single Saturday at 8 a.m. Mountain Time.
Well, very good. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk to you next week. Mary Louise Cook, Inside the Big Sky. She's the director of digital and broadcast media for the league, and she joins us each week here on 102.9 ESPN Radio. Up next, one of the best athletes in the Big Sky Conference, Duncan Hamilton. It's our River City Runners. He's not from the River City. He's from Bozeman, but I know a lot of people around here are interested in him, one of the best distance runners in the state of Montana. Duncan Hamilton, Montana State All-American and Olympic Trials participant, joins us here on Nuanez Now. Keep it right here, ESPN Radio.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
Like most Montanans, we love a good steak. And because we're the Montana Club, we take the steaks we serve very seriously. We're confident to say that our custom grilled steaks are as good a steak as you're going to get. Now we're proud to add regionally sourced, naturally raised Castle Rock bison ribeye to our selection. And remember, the Montana Club steak entrees include the sides. Come into the Montana Club today for an unrivaled steak experience. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Hey, this is Jeremy with your locally owned and operated Domino's. School's back in session, and we're excited for another great school year. And we know what happens when school is open. Some people go to bed early, and some not so much. So if you like staying up late, keep in mind, so does Domino's. We're delivering pizzas, pastas, and sandwiches till 2 a.m. or later. And our drivers are happy to deliver food while you're up late studying for your classes. So give us a call at 721-7610 on South Ave, 926-6411 on Reserve Street, or check us out online at Domino's.com.
Hey friends, if you're done camping for the season, don't pay for storage fees. Sell your boat or RV to Brett's RV and Marine. Why pay for storage fees or winterization costs? Values for boats and RVs are at an all-time high. And our friends at Brett's RV and Marine are paying top dollar for pre-owned boats and RVs. Don't store it, sell it to our friends at Brett's RV and Marine right here in Missoula. Learn more at brettsrv.com.
Bob Ward's Your Hunting Headquarters wants to remind you to keep an eye on that calendar. Don't miss out on opening day because you don't have the gear. Get into Bob Ward's now. You'll find the biggest and best selection of everything from scopes to shells, rifles to rangefinders, calls to camo, and much, much more. Visit your local Bob Ward's for in-store sales updated weekly. Hunters, your season is here. Head into Bob Ward's and gear up. Bob Ward's, sports and outdoors. Montana's best friend for the great outdoors for over 100 years.
Why build a work history at a job when you can build a future in your own business? Westpac Wealth Partners is looking for entrepreneurial-minded people who are ready to take their future into their own hands. Nick Tabor and his associates provide clients with financial tools and tested solutions for navigating this complex financial climate. Westpac Wealth also has a work culture that has been recognized as a best workplace in Fortune magazine. If you're ready to start building a business in a long-term career, apply at westpacwealth.com. Westpac Wealth Partners, LLC is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. Insurance products offered through Westpac Wealth Partners and Insurance Services, LLC, a DBA of Westpac Wealth Partners, LLC.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
And welcome back. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television around the great state of Montana, coming to you live from the Northwest Motorsport Studio. Northwest Motorsport, you can find them online. Largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. Just head on over to nwmsrocks.com. That's nwmsrocks.com. Well, happy now for the latest edition of River City Runners, presented by Zootown Sports Cards. And this young man, he actually does not hail from the River City. He hails from the other side of the Continental Divide over in Bozeman. He's a cross-country and distance aficionado for the Montana State Bobcats, but certainly one of the top runners in the state. And I know somewhat of great interest to people around the great state of Montana and around the Big Sky Conference is Duncan Hamilton. He's joined us here on Nuanez now multiple times. And mostly if you're joining us multiple times, it means it's because you're having a lot of success. So Duncan, appreciate you making some time, my man. How you doing?
Great. How are you doing?
Very good. I think that the last time we talked to you, you were on your way to the U.S. Olympic trials. It was kind of between your national meet appearance at the NCAA National Outdoor Track and Field Championships and before returning to the same venue out there, Hayward Field in Eugene, Oregon. But just tell us about what the trials was like. I mean, take us through the whole experience because it must have been quite a thrill to not go once but twice to one of the meccas of track and field.
Yeah, the Olympic trials was an experience I'll never forget. I mean, that was a meet that I was looking at for years to try and get to, and so just like getting there was meeting all my goals, and then to be able to race twice there was more than I could ever imagine. I'm so happy with that.
We all have goals, and everybody that's involved in sports, we set lofty goals. And, you know, once upon a time, I wanted to play in the NFL, and then all of a sudden, I only grew to be 6'1", and I couldn't play offensive line in the NFL unless I was about 6'6". But you are actually achieving these prestigious and prominent goals. Have you thought about just the fact that you are sort of doing what a lot of people set out to do, but just you maybe don't ever get there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super fortunate to be in this position. I mean, I've got an amazing coach and amazing teammates and amazing support group, and so I'm super happy that I'm able to set these lofty goals and then work as hard as I possibly can to try and achieve them.
What are the next goals? I mean, what keeps you motivated here, and what are the goals that are out in front of you now that you've already have achieved some of these goals with still a lot of college eligibility left?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think about these next 2 years a lot. And I'd like to set big goals for this cross-country season. I want to be All-American. And then basically for my fifth year, I've kind of just put down that I want to win NCAAs in the steeplechase and win NCAAs and the indoor nationals as well. And so to be able to have my goals set at an NCAA title is super exciting. And I just can't wait to try and make those happen, just like I have for my goals for this past season.
River City Runners, a running segment twice a month here on Nuanez Now, presented by Zootown Sports Cards, profiling not just people in the Garden City, not just Missoulians, but great runners from around the state of Montana. Duncan Hamilton, Montana State standout, joins us here on ESPN Radio. And Duncan, I want to talk to you about cross-country season now because you had such an outstanding outdoor season in track and, of course, the Olympic trials, but now it's cross-country time. So how does your mindset change if it does? How does the training change? Just take us through the details because it is a little bit different of a sport. I think sometimes people think, oh, distance running's just distance running, but it is a little bit different, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a mindset change from track. The training also changes. I mean, we're running higher miles, we're running longer workouts and higher mileage workouts, more long and slow, steady stuff. But I think the mindset change is huge. You know, track is a team sport, but it's more individual than cross country. Cross country is certainly a team sport, and so kind of thinking about the team all the time, you know, during workouts and stuff, putting the team before individual accomplishments. You know, if I can work harder to bring up our number 4 and 5 guy rather than working on myself or something, then that's going to benefit the team more. And so that's what I'm going to be focused on, is just trying to get as much of a pack as I can, and help the team out as much as possible.
Do you enjoy that part of cross country, sort of the team element?
Yeah, definitely. I love it. It definitely helps a lot of people improve because they're running for more than just themselves. You know, they've got a team on their backs that they're trying to work towards. So I think it's more satisfying when you have a victory or an improvement as a team rather than just individuals.
Duncan Hamilton, Montana State runner, joining us here as part of our River City running segment here on Nuanez Now. How about last week? I know that you guys had a good performance last week at one of your home meets for cross country, and I know that some records fell, and I'm sure it's always good to be running at home. But just take us through last week's meet and how you think you, but also sort of everybody else on the team did.
Yeah, I'm super excited about last meet. On an individual level, I was super happy with my meet. A new course record. That's exciting. I felt like I ran a smart race, and it was definitely a confidence builder for my fitness. But for the team too, that was definitely the fastest pack we've ever had on that course, and it kind of really just showed us how important a full team is, because through scoring through 4 guys, we would have been super close to Utah State, and that 5th guy was really the key for the Utah State victory. And so it really kind of just showed us how important having that number 5 guy is, and we'll work towards improving that for the rest of the season.
How much is your training different, if it is at all? Or what sort of different things do you do? Is there any different nutrition, any different sort of things you do right now? And how does then maybe cross country set the foundation for then these pursuits you have for both indoor and outdoor seasons as well?
Yeah, I think, the training's definitely a little bit different. I'd say nutrition and all that recovery is pretty similar, but we're definitely more focused on aerobic development right now. So running more miles, running longer workouts, instead of doing short interval stuff on the track, we'll be doing 8-mile tempos or something on the roads, and just really working on getting that super strong aerobic base. And then come track season, you're able to kind of capitalize on that and get some speed. And once you throw some intervals on top of a super strong aerobic base, then you can see big improvements in track season.
Duncan Hamilton, Montana State, joining us here, talking all things running, particularly cross country. And Duncan, tell us about the horizon. What's the immediate goals here for both yourself and the team as you guys reach sort of the heart of the cross country season here this fall?
Yeah, so right now our next meet is in about 3.5 weeks. We'll travel to Tallahassee, Florida for the pre-national meet. And I'm really excited for that, because we'll be coming off of a really solid training block. And so we'll all be super fit and just kind of ready to go, ready to race. It will have been 4 weeks since our last race. I think we'll be really excited to show off our fitness. And I think that will be really nice for the guys, because it'll be our first kind of big meet with a lot of teams in the country, and so we'll be able to see where we stack up. And then I think for the rest of the season, the goals are second at conference, and then the biggest one for this year is making that national meet, which would be top 5 or 6 or so at the regional meet to qualify for NCAAs, which has been our goal for a long time. But I think this year we've got the best shot of making that happen.
When you consider the Big Sky Conference as a whole, I've actually talked to several people around the league, and I think that the Big Sky Conference is one of the best distance running conferences in the country, period. I mean, talk about Northern Arizona is among, if not the premier cross-country program in the country. Southern Utah, Weber State, Montana State, all, right there among the top programs, not just in the region, but in the nation. And so does that help drive you? And I mean, how much do you think that helps when you do get into that sort of portion of the schedule, just competing on a high level with people from around the region, around your conference?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the fastest conferences. I mean, NAU has been on top for the past recent history, and so they're obviously going to show up at conference. And then the Utah teams are also super strong this year. Weber and Southern Utah are going to be really good teams to beat, and so that definitely helps us get into the mindset of championship season. Once conference rolls around, we're able to see where we stack up next to those teams. And then we kind of get a little preview of where we'll be before regionals 2 weeks after that. And so it's definitely like a fun stepping stone, and just helps us get into that championship season mindset.
Well, Duncan, we appreciate the time. As always, we love giving you a little attention, because I think that you're doing a fantastic job, and it's awesome to follow all of your accomplishments, all of your team's accomplishments. So keep it up, and thanks so much for giving us a minute here on Nuanez Now.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's good to talk to you.
River City Runners, a couple times a month, every single month here on Nuanez Now, presented by Zootown Sports Cards. Go check out Zootown Sports Cards here in Missoula. They are located there at the corner of Higgins and South, right across the street from Dornblazer Field. They also Have a big card show coming up October 23rd. It's at the Doubletree. No cost to have a table there. All you have to do is get a hold of them. So if you do want to go show off your cards, you want to come check out all the action. I don't know. I'm pretty busy right now, so I don't know if I'm going to have a table this time around, but I have had tables in the past, and it's always a fun time. So come on down. Keep that on your calendars. October 23rd, you'll see a bunch of sweet collections of trading cards, sports memorabilia, all that. It's brought to you by Zootown Sports Cards of Missoula. Hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 coming at you. It's our good friend Carolyn, the chick who doesn't know sports, here on ESPN Radio. Keep it dialed, 102.9 FM. Hey, it's Colter Nuanez from Nuanez Now, here with Brent Wahlberg of the Wahlberg team at Windermere Real Estate. It's a complicated real estate market right now. What do you think is the biggest challenge?
This is a real tough market for buyers because what we have right now is an unprecedented lack of available options, low supply. You have to be extra competitive. You've got to make your first offer your strongest offer. Experts like myself in this market can really help people do that.
Call Brent Wahlberg and the Wahlberg team at 529-4663 today. Paul Ryan is a name that's been synonymous with law around the Garden City for decades. And Paul is excited to announce the expansion of his firm to Ryan, Holloway, and Miller. Paul Ryan, Nate Holloway, and Angie Miller have a fierce love for their community and want to help you with any of your legal needs. From auto accidents to medical malpractice to wrongful death or any criminal defense, Ryan, Holloway, and Miller should be your first call. Paul has established a reputation as the top legal mind in Missoula, claiming the Garden City's best attorney honors 13 different years. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller is a local firm with experience and intimate knowledge to help clients with any needs. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller will be available to take your calls at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So no matter what your legal needs in western Montana and around the Treasure State, when it comes to personal injury or criminal defense, call Ryan, Holloway, and Miller today. Ryan, Holloway, and Miller, your Montana attorneys. Although it might sound daunting, getting your wisdom teeth out is just a part of life. No matter when you might need your wisdom teeth extracted, Dr. Gene Morris at Oral Surgical Associates in Missoula is the man you need to see. Dr. Morris has extensive experience and a reputation as a surgeon who's both gentle and detailed, and will make your wisdom teeth extraction process seem like a breeze. When you need your wisdom teeth removed, put your trust in Dr. Gene Morris at Oral Surgical Associates of Missoula.
The sports memorabilia and trading card industry is heating up because of an increased demand, a global market, and reinvigorated collection and collectors. Specialty trading cards have never been more popular. Whether you are interested in checking out some of the hottest items on the market or perusing through a catalog of some of your favorite vintage players, Zootown Sports Cards offers the most elite options in all of western Montana. Start your collection or bolster it today by stopping into Zootown Sports Cards at the corner of Higgins and South in Missoula.
Open your new Stockman Bank account anytime, anywhere with online account opening. Now, you can open an account in minutes on your laptop, tablet, or mobile phone. It's convenient, simple, and secure. Open your new account today at stockmanbank.com. Then, add our online and mobile banking services so you can manage your money when, where, and how you want. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Member FDIC.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The Knights have endured a great deal already this football season, and tonight, Missoula Hellgate looks to bounce back against a Flathead team at the beginning of a rebuild. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. The opening week of the season saw Hellgate lose on the last-second field goal to Great Falls CMR, and the following week, Hellgate posted their first win, a 42-20 triumph over winless Belgrade. Week 3 saw Hellgate's crosstown matchup against top-ranked and defending Class AA state champion Sentinel canceled because of COVID-19 protocol, and last week, Hellgate got ripped on its homecoming, losing 63-6 to Helena High at Washington Grizzly Stadium. This week, Knights host winless Kalispell Flathead, a team that's been outscored 188-21 so far this season. Braves are led by first-year head coach Alex Cummings, a Missoula Big Sky alum, played his college ball at Montana State Northern. Friday night features a home game for Missoula Big Sky and a trip to yet another showdown for the Spartans. Eagles will host upstart Butte, the number 3 team in Class AA, thanks to a 3-1 start. Bulldogs lost their first game by a single point to Billings Senior and have won 3 straight since, including a 34-20 win over Helena. Spartans travel to the capital city to take on a Bengals team coming off of last week's offensive outburst against Hellgate. Finally, Missoula Loyola will look to improve on its 3-1 start with a trip to face number 6 Eureka. This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Selway Armory. What was your favorite concert of the summer? This was definitely one of mine. Modest Mouse bringing you back on a Thursday. Isaac and the folks rocked the Kettle House Amphitheater this summer. Tell me what your favorite concert was. 888-1029. 888-1029. You can text us. Shoot us a text. Let us know. What was your favorite concert of the summer? There's all sorts of good ones. I think I made my way to like 8 or 9. Pretty fun. Awesome having that sort of thing back. Live music. Makes me happy. It's Nuanez now. One-stop shop for all concert commentary. We also talk a little sports around here from time to time. You're listening to 1029 ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television. Broadcasting to you from the Northwest Motorsports Studio. Go check them out. New to Missoula, corner of Stevens and Mount. You can also go online, nwmsrocks.com. Northwest Motorsport boasts the largest inventory of trucks, more than 1,500 of them, anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. Missed anything in the first hour of the show? Great guest slate. Impromptu appearance. Talk all things NFL by Ryan Tutel. Mary Louise Cook, Director of Broadcast and Digital Media for the Big Sky Conference, joined us as part of our Inside the Big Sky segment. And we also heard from Duncan Hamilton as part of our River City Runners, highlighting some of the best runners from around the state of Montana. Duncan, an All-American and Olympic trials participant as a distance runner from Bozeman, Montana, currently competing at Montana State. You can find everything from that first hour in the podcast, which is proudly presented by Sportsbet Montana, the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel, and Blackfoot Communications. Pretty much nothing to complain about my gig here at ESPN Radio, except for that when we're giving away all of these awesome things, particularly the things where you get to go eat something, it just makes me hungry. And then I'm in this studio for a long time, and I just get so jealous of all of you. But I hope you really enjoy it. By the way, we're going to have, finally, at long last, our announcement next week, once the calendar turns to October, for our big fall giveaway. And I can't tell you what it is yet, but I will tell you this. It at least doubled in size today, and you're going to be so excited to hear all about it. But in the meantime, we're going to keep hooking you up here every Thursday with a couple vouchers to head on down to the AC Hotel. They are kind enough to be one of our sponsors. For the chick who doesn't know sports, our good friend Carolyn here in studio. And Carolyn, the AC Hotel, pretty awesome place to go enjoy yourself some brunch. And we're going to send a couple people down there this week, right?
Yeah, and it's homecoming weekend, so get down there, get your pregame on, get your mimosas and Bloody Marys and all the good stuff. But we're giving away breakfast for 2, plus 2 drinks. So you can get a mimosa or a Bloody Mary. And that breakfast is, as the kids say, lit. Slapping.
Oh, man. What is your least favorite of the trendy sayings? The other week, I got a good friend and colleague who's it's actually an interesting life evolution. He has been a sports writer on and off for a long time, 30 plus years. And now he got into PR, worked at the state, stuff like that. But now he's retired from the state and he's getting back into doing a little writing. And it's full circle for me because I've always admired him and looked up to him quite a bit. And now he's helping me with writing at Skyline Sports, which is cool. But anyways, the other week I was at the Bobcat game in Bozeman and I asked him, I said, how was Gold Rush? How was the night game, the night opener? He said, oh man, it was lit. I was like, Tom, you're like so old to be saying that. Where did you get that? He's like, I don't know. My daughter says it, whatever. That's one of the ones that drives me crazy. Is there any ones that drive you crazy?
Yes. My sons point to their inner arms with 2 fingers and say, sheesh. And I don't know what that means. And they don't know what it means.
Oh, man, that's just terrible.
I don't know.
That's just, well, there's nothing good.
I don't know what it means. If someone knows, please tell me.
I mean, there's nothing good that you could really like inject into your arm, right? I don't know. I don't even think we go down that.
And then they used to say sus for like suspect, like that sus. And then my husband said it in the car last week, and they were like, Dad, no one says that anymore. I mean, that just happened.
The trendsetters.
I don't know. I just say cool and awesome and rad.
Speaking of homecoming lit breakfasts, lit experiences, call us right now, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Caller number 2. Got a couple of vouchers for you to go on down to AC Hotel. It's all you can eat, all you can drink. Get yourself some mimosas, coffee, milk. That's my favorite part about this is the beverages. You have all the beverages in the world.
Yes, there's nothing like a mimosa and a glass of milk.
I'm so strange. I love milk.
I do too, but not.
Like if I'm having if people say hair of the dog, I want a glass of milk.
Ew.
Isn't that weird?
Didn't you see Anchorman?
I think
milk was a bad choice.
I think I've been actually broken up with multiple times because of my affinity for milk in the mornings. That's here nor there.
That's a weird reason to break up with someone.
Maybe that's just the thing that they use as an excuse.
I don't think that was why someone broke up with you. I can think of a million other reasons.
Thanks. All right, Carolyn, Chica Doesn't Know Sports making me happy every single Thursday. What do you have around your world of sports?
First, before we even start on what I don't know about sports, let's talk real quick about this Saturday.
Okay.
Talk about lit. We are going to have our tailgate at the Chamber starting at 11.
Director at ESPN.
I am just really excited because it's homecoming weekend.
It is.
We're going to have some Twisted Tea out there. The Badlander will be slinging drinks. We've got amazing sponsors, and you will be broadcasting live. I'm going to be out there handing out free stuff. You have to come down and visit us and see what it is. But yeah, so
we got the full arsenal too in terms of the content, the talkers, the guys that you're going to come listen to. Myself, Raji M. Seabrook, Andrew Houghton, and don't look now, Gus Tutel making his illustrious return to the pregame show. Can't wait to have him back in the saddle.
Do I get to get on the air?
Wow! If you bring the heat.
I know, I don't really have anything to say.
These pregame shows are a little tight, actually.
Yeah.
We go for an hour and a half, and it's like, well, we got a lot of stuff to get to, a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll probably share at least a part of our interview with Bo Baldwin, Cal Poly's head coach. He joined us here on Nuanez Now earlier this week, and probably share a little bit of sound from Sammy Kim as well. Famed Grizz receiver and one of our favorite guys around here. He gave me a couple of minutes after the press conference on Monday. Speaking of, though, what else you got?
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts on this game? You have no idea. Where's Cal Poly?
California.
San Luis Obispo.
I was just going to say San Luis Obispo. Great wine country.
Have you ever been there?
Yeah, I have. I went to Hearst Castle.
This is why I think that Cal Poly is a sleeping giant in the Big Sky Conference, because on one hand, it's a premier engineering school, so they do have a lot higher academic standards than most of the rest of the schools in the league. But on the other hand, where else in the country can you get the beach, the mountains, the wineries, the breweries, and all the fare of California, but you're not actually in LA or the Bay Area?
It's so awesome there. I love San Luis Obispo.
I got a chance to go there to cover a ball game one time, and I stayed for a week, and I had the most fun ever.
Yeah. It is really cool because you do have the beach, but you have you're surrounded by pine trees. I mean, it's just amazing. I love it.
It's a very cool spot.
Yeah. Okay, but moving on. Forget about the game this week. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers for a minute.
We're talking about what now?
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, here we go. How about his new man bun commercial?
I don't.
His new State Farm commercial, he's wearing a man bun. Ugh. And, I'm not here to hate on the man bun. I actually have very many friends that have the long hair. My brother hasn't cut his hair since the 90s, I don't think. And, but Aaron Rodgers and his stringy little man bun is just...
Aaron Rodgers is annoying. But, so last week I had some opinions on his first game.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people had those opinions.
That's true.
However, I feel like he's targeting me. He went on a show and said, and I quote, "It's absolute horse peep to give a platform to people who have no idea what they're talking about as far as my mental state and focus. I don't think I need to defend myself to people who aren't worth spending time on." He didn't say my name, but I'm pretty sure he was talking about me.
You feel attacked.
And no, I think it's hilarious because the reason people were talking so much smack wasn't just because he played bad. It was because he was such a D-bag leading up to the season.
Right.
And he doesn't even see that.
I think that I can't believe that there's not more talk about what we talk about what this is all about. This is not about Aaron Rodgers being a prima donna as much as this is about Aaron Rodgers setting the table for the future. We have had a windfall moment in the National Football League over the last 2 weeks. Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, broadcasting from their couches as the alternative broadcast to Monday Night Football is the single greatest innovation in the history of NFL coverage because you don't have talking heads. It's not a produced studio show. It's Peyton and Eli being fully authentic and joking like brothers for 3 hours.
Where is this?
It's on ESPN too. So every single Monday, they do Monday Night Football on ESPN, and they have that crew, which, by the way, if I'm Steve Levy and those guys, I'm so mad because they basically, my own channel is running something that's better than my broadcast, so nobody's going to watch you now. But it's Peyton and Eli on a Zoom, just giving off-the-cuff, non-produced
Is it like
analysis.
Mystery Science Theater 3000,
Yeah,
but
kind
for
of.
football?
And they like bring in their buddies, and like last week,
That's fun.
Gronkowski was on there, and Russell Wilson's made an appearance. Actually, A-Rod was on the first one. But it's trend-setting because it's really, really low production just in terms of what they're telling them to do. I mean,
It's probably way more entertaining.
Oh, way more entertaining. Like the first time Ray Lewis was on there, and Ray Lewis was just going on a story, and you could hear the director saying 10, 9, 8. Ray Lewis has kept going. They cut it. They come back from commercial. He's still telling the story. He doesn't even know. They don't even know they went to commercial, but it's very candid. But that's the point I'm making though, is that athletes, Peyton Manning's the first one to do this, but athletes are setting the table so they can do this on their own.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be the purveyors of their own content without having to work for somebody. They're bringing the
What does
content
this have to do with
the
Aaron
table.
Rodgers and his
Because he did all of his stuff this offseason, I think, not as a cry for help, not as a drama queen. He did podcast after podcast to prove to people he can do it because that's what he wants to do when he retires. He wants to host Jeopardy. He wants to have his own podcast. He wants to do all these things.
So why doesn't he just do it?
Well, right, but you gotta set the table to be as big as you can be.
I don't know about that. I think he's just a D-bag.
Here's the thing that
can I say that?
I don't know if you can. Here's the thing that is going to be the train wreck of the copycatting that's going to happen of all of this. There's very few, if any, athletes that have reached the level of fame and relevance that the Manning brothers have that can also be authentic for hours at a time on camera.
Mm-hmm.
None of these other guys, their brand is so important. Their persona is so important. LeBron James is not going on TV for 3.5 hours because you can't.
You know who could?
Who's that?
Shaq.
Shaq could, no question.
him.
Shaq could, for sure.
Charles Barkley.
Those guys are for sure. But like, there's very few guys that could do it because you've established this reputation of what people think that you're like. And the Mannings, it aligns exactly with who they are.
Yeah.
Everybody else, it doesn't. So you could have a slip up and it hurts your brand and stuff like that. Like Russell Wilson is, whatever, Mr. Invincible or whatever. Like, he can't do it for 3 hours. You can't do the stupid Tom Brady shtick for 3.5 hours. You can't. And so that's where I think they're all going to go awry. Yeah. But I also wonder, Aaron Rodgers is playing this, sort of emo, vulnerable guy. Even though he's like the cockiest dude in the world. And so I wonder if that's what the plan is to try to sort of cultivate that shtick. But anyways, you would have loved Gronk on there. He was just so funny.
Speaking of correspondence on ESPN, I was on the treadmill yesterday at the gym because I work out, obviously. And I was watching ESPN. And what is with these tight suits, guys? Like, I can't deal. Like,
what do you want him to wear?
Not, like, there was one guy, he's clearly fit. It's not because he was like overweight or anything. It was like busting at the seams. Like they have big and tall. Go shop, buy your size. That's all I have to say. Also the tight pants, I can't deal with it.
The tight high water pants.
Yeah,
that's my favorite when they wear the pants that
and
are
no socks.
Or like such funny gargoyle socks. What do you call them? Argyle? Sure. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
The suit thing is outrageous.
I don't like it. I don't want like the 90s.
There's a certain football coach in Montana that I'm pretty sure has not bought a new suit since about 1997.
Well, that's the other problem. Like, there's got to be a fine line. Like, I don't like the 90s, like, zoot suits, but I need something like, you guys need to not, it's too tight.
So, college basketball coaches almost always wear suits. Very few guys, only like the Bob Hugginses of the world wear like their team gear, that most of them wear suits during game days. Mm-hmm. No, college football coaches do not. They wear team gear.
Yeah.
What do you think of that dynamic?
I don't really care. I mean, I like a suit as long as it's not, stupid. Mm-hmm. But I kind of like when they're in their team gear. I like their little, golf shirt with their logo on it, and they got their headphones on and they're yelling and doing their thing. Whatever. I don't care.
I used to dress super fancy when I'd go to cover games, and then I felt weird. I felt out of place.
Yeah.
So I just go with the polo.
Yeah, I think a polo's nice.
The thing that really turned me away was with our procedure for our pre and post game show. I'm doing a lot of running.
Right.
Like I really have to run to the stadium.
Yeah.
Running in the wingtips, not so good. I need some sneaks to get on over there.
Yeah. No, I always like when I see the teams all dressed up, like they have to wear a suit to school on game day or whatever it was. We always had to do that in tennis. Like we'd have to wear like nice clothes. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but we did. I like that. I like seeing that. But I think on the sidelines, you need to be comfortable as long as you can do your job. And if you can do it in a suit, great. I don't know if you can do it in a suit with high waters and no socks on your loafers. I feel like you get blisters, and those loafers probably stink.
That's the chick who doesn't know sports. Our good friend Carolyn here on Nuanez now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. What else you got?
Okay, so I did not know that there is a anti-tampering rule at all, which means you can't.
In what sport?
Okay, so Joe LaCobe for the Warriors, the owner of the Warriors.
Okay.
He got hit with a $50,000 fine.
Okay.
Because he told the media.
Isn't that guy worth like $70 billion? It's like me and you getting like a $1 fine.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just saying he said he's not interested in recruiting Ben Simmons.
Yes.
And he got hit with a fine for saying that.
Right.
Because that's called anti-tampering, meaning I guess you're giving an edge to someone else. I don't really understand it, but I didn't know that this was a thing. So what is he supposed to say if someone from the press asks him that?
Yeah, so the tampering rules in the NBA are very arbitrary. They seem to be enforced not very consistently. There's also huge loopholes in them because you can certainly regulate the communication between a front office and players and their agents, but how can you possibly mitigate the communication between players with each other? Like the biggest outcry when LeBron James and Chris Bosh went to Miami to play with Dwayne Wade was that those guys had recruited him. It's like, well, duh, they did. They went and played in the Olympics the year before and kicked it for like 3 months and probably talked about all of the things they were going to do in Miami. So I don't really know why. This is why when guys like Larry Bird or Magic Johnson get into upper management, this is such a tight fraternity. Mm-hmm. So Magic Johnson had already always been talking to the best players. So then when he's working for the Lakers, of course he has an inside track to get these guys to come to LA. I don't know. It's confusing to me still. I don't really know what is tampering, what is not tampering.
Right, because recruiting is recruiting.
Sure.
But it seems like tampering has something more to do with media, like putting it out there, we are not interested in Ben Simmons.
Right.
So, but I don't know what that does or doesn't do for them. So,
well, I think it goes back to your basic premise where if you sign a contract, you're an employee of that organization. I think that's where that's why the rule exists, because you never want the Lakers to go to Ben Simmons and say, hey, we know you're unhappy in Philadelphia. You just sit out. I mean, this already happened with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis was wearing his Looney Tunes, that's all, folks, shirt to every single New Orleans Pelicans game until they traded him. He just sat out for 3 weeks just to say, I'm not going to play for you. What was the influence behind that? We'll never know, but that's why they kind of do it, because they don't want teams saying, hey, just dog this team, don't play until we can trade for you or whatever.
Well, like James Harden.
And his fat suit.
All of it. Him being just like the whole scene. Well, even Aaron Rodgers pulling his stuff. These guys are such brats. Like, I would be so mad if I was their mom. I'd be like, you signed a commitment. You will see it through.
It's especially because the commitment is worth like 20 to 30 to 40 to $50 million a year.
I'd be like, you signed a commitment, and I want my Louis Vuitton coming in until you're done.
I
don't like it. I don't like the way these boys are acting.
Yeah,
they need to go to my etiquette school.
Carolyn School of Etiquette here on the Chick Who Doesn't Know Sports. What else you got?
So, you know my little favorite Steph Curry? Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
He and his wife renewed their vows.
Okay.
For their 10-year anniversary.
Nice. Good for him.
No. This is dumb. Do not renew your vows. It's the kiss of death.
What?
Yes.
Oh, man.
If you watch any Real Housewives, you will know this.
Oh, my God.
That anytime there's a vow renewal, there's a divorce looming. Now, I'm not saying this about Steph. I'm saying this is just, why do you need to renew your vows? You did it once. Why you got to do it again? Am I stumping you with this
I don't know. Because part of me wants to think that this is just a publicity stunt to get attention because we're talking about it. Part of me just thinks it's authentic and maybe he just wants to renew his vows. I don't know.
I guess I just don't know why you did it
I don't even know how people have the courage to even get married in the first place, let alone twice to the same person.
Well, if you stop drinking milk, maybe you'd find out.
Oh, man. Well, I will say that I think that Ayesha Curry is certainly a key to Steph Curry's success. So hopefully it's not the kiss of death.
I hope so, too, because I love them both very much as if they were my own. But I hate vow renewals. They just drive me crazy. Have a party if you want to get dressed up, celebrate your 10-year anniversary, whatever. But I don't think a vow renewal is necessary unless you've done something wrong and you need to recommit. And that's the kind of thing I don't know.
Okay.
But I wouldn't think Steph Curry would ever do it. He could do no wrong.
Nothing would surprise me at this point. ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, Colter Nuanez with our good friend Carolyn, the Chick Who Doesn't Know Sports. What else?
All right, I have one little story.
Okay.
Only because we've talked about it a little bit.
Okay.
I always mess up his name. Patrick Mahomes. The E always throws me off.
If you really want to know if this is a shtick or if she doesn't know anything about sports, she doesn't. She doesn't even know the most famous athlete on the earth's name.
I always want to say Mahomes.
Okay.
But
Patrick
anyway.
Mahomes Jr.
His brother, Jackson.
Okay.
Mahomes.
I always wonder what it'd be like to be these guys' brothers. If you're close with your brother, probably so sweet.
Yeah.
But also it would be like, oh, you're Patrick Mahomes' brother. Like, no one would ever even know your name for the rest of your life.
That's sort of like what happens with me. Everyone's like, oh, you're Carolyn's brother. It's awkward.
Okay.
Anyway, so his brother got in a fight during one of the games and threw water on someone.
Okay.
And I guess this person was talking serious smack to Jackson and Patrick's fiance.
Okay.
But it was a big scene. It got all caught on camera, and then Patrick had to address it with the press. And, I don't like people throwing stuff on each other.
Same.
Just kind of bugs me. But I don't know what was said, so we don't know. We weren't there. That's my story.
Well, I'm glad that his brother's sticking up for him. I don't know what you could possibly say bad about Patrick Mahomes at this point. He's pretty much like the most unimpeachable athlete in America right now. But
like he and Steph Curry are my faves.
It's good.
Yeah.
What do they both have in common?
They're just nice. They seem like nice people.
Their fathers were professional athletes, so they have the blueprint of how to navigate fame.
Interesting.
It's not a coincidence.
Interesting.
It's not a coincidence. Like my brother and I were talking about, I think that it's a startling dichotomy. Either you have no family and you come from nothing and you make it to become a professional athlete, or you have somebody to show you the way at an incredibly high level to become a pro athlete.
You know what?
Like all these little people living in the suburbs and stuff, it ain't happening for your kids. I'm sorry.
Right. I have a brilliant idea.
I can't wait.
The NFL and the NBA should have a Big Brother program. So if you're retired, you take a newbie under your wing.
Sure.
A rookie, is that what they call it?
That's right.
And then you kind of help them. Now, here's people who should not be a part of that. Dennis Rodman.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe it would be a good one. Because he could tell you all the things
not to do. Yeah, maybe. Maybe now, but 10, 20 years ago, no. Who else would not be a good one? That guy with Michael Vick. Not going to be a good big brother.
Michael Vick. Michael Vick's been to Missoula.
Antonio Brown. Definitely not.
Yeah, definitely not.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
So maybe we should create a Big Brother program for the NFL. I think I just really came up with something special.
Well, they do have this sort of in the NBA. They have a rookie symposium where guys are assigned to mentors and they kind of help them out. And
how's it working?
Well, I mean, I would say that all of this is working if the gauge and the litmus test is how much money are you making, both individually and, I mean, Carolyn, you can say the facade of like sports are meant to make young men into better men and stuff like that. Once you get past the collegiate level, that's not what it's all about. It's only about one thing, just as is everything in all of America, money. Unfortunately, it's just the way the world works.
Wow, that's some harsh stuff for a Thursday.
Well, I hope everybody enjoys their homecoming weekend. I hope you enjoy your little brunch at the AC Hotel. And,
come visit us at the tailgate at the Chamber.
Twisted Tailgate. College game day. Come see us. We got all sorts of action, swag, drinks, snacks, everything. Come see us down at the Chamber of Commerce parking lot starting at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Always fun having Carolyn swing by. Sorry she never comes in on TV. But that's part of the shtick. Maybe someday. It's Nuanez now. 102.9 ESPN Missoula, as well as SWX Montana Television. Carolyn's got to do the recording in the mornings because right now I guarantee you she's driving some boy somewhere to soccer practice or from soccer practice or whatever. It's hard being a mom. She does it well. Up next, Montana, homecoming, Cal Poly this weekend. Also, the Grizzlies been off for a week, but Bobby Houck, the last time he took the football field, earned his 100th career victory. Some of the best from Coach Houck, Montana's head football coach. Right after this, here on Nuanez Now.
Garden City Paint and Glass is proud to offer a huge variety of high-quality paints and stains at affordable prices, like C2 Paints, Dunn & Edwards, and Prolux Seekin Paints. These brands offer you great quality and great prices. The trained staff at Garden City Paint and Glass will help you with the right colors and tools to get your project right. Visit GardenCityPaintandGlass.com for more information or give them a call at 549-0608. Garden City Paint and Glass, locally owned and serving Montana for over 30 years.
Although it might sound daunting, getting your wisdom teeth out is just a part of life. No matter when you might need your wisdom teeth extracted, Dr. Gene Morris at Oral Surgical Associates in Missoula is the man you need to see. Dr. Morris has extensive experience and a reputation as a surgeon who's both gentle and detailed, and will make your wisdom teeth extraction process seem like a breeze. When you need your wisdom teeth removed, put your trust in Dr. Gene Morris at Oral Surgical Associates of Missoula. Hallelujah, football is back around the Treasure State, and whether you want to watch high school football on SWX Montana or on the MHSA live stream, or looking to catch the Grizzlies each and every Saturday, or you want to check out all the action when it comes to the NFL, you want to head on down to Paradise Falls. Has 30 big screen TVs, 18 draft beers, breakfast, lunch, dinner, plus Paradise Falls has the Sports Bet Montana kiosks, so you can make all your bets no matter what football you are watching. Come watch football in Paradise at Paradise Falls, 3621 Brook Street, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
Bob Ward's Your Hunting Headquarters wants to remind you to keep an eye on that calendar. Don't miss out on opening day because you don't have the gear. Get into Bob Ward's now. You'll find the biggest and best selection of everything from scopes to shells, rifles to rangefinders, calls to camo, and much, much more. Visit your local Bob Ward's for in-store sales updated weekly. Hunters, your season is here. Head into Bob Ward's and gear up. Bob Ward's, sports and outdoors. Montana's best friend for the great outdoors for over 100 years.
Football is back, and Nuanez Now has everything you need to know about the weekend for the Grizzlies, the Bobcats, around the Big Sky Conference, and around the Treasure State in the prep ranks, too. Join Colter Nuanez and other contributing guests for the first hour of each Monday's Nuanez Now, beginning at 4 p.m. for compelling analysis, interesting information, interviews, and more. The Montana Football Hour, the first hour of each Monday's Nuanez Now, beginning at 4 p.m. on 102.9 ESPN Missoula and statewide on SWX Montana Television. The Montana Football Hour, presented by Stockman Bank of Montana.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking. Now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
The Knights have endured a great deal already this football season, and tonight, Missoula Hellgate looks to bounce back against a Flathead team at the beginning of a rebuild. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. The opening week of the season saw Hellgate lose on the last-second field goal to Great Falls CMR, and the following week, Hellgate posted their first win, a 42-20 triumph over winless Belgrade. Week 3 saw Hellgate's crosstown matchup against top-ranked and defending Class AA state champion Sentinel canceled because of COVID-19 protocol, and last week, Hellgate got ripped on its homecoming, losing 63-6 to Helena High at Washington Grizzly Stadium. This week, Knights host winless Kalispell Flathead, a team that's been outscored 188-21 so far this season. Braves are led by first-year head coach Alex Cummings, a Missoula Big Sky alum, played his college ball at Montana State Northern. Friday night features a home game for Missoula Big Sky and a trip to yet another showdown for the Spartans. The Eagles will host upstart Butte, the number 3 team in Class AA, thanks to a 3-1 start. Bulldogs lost their first game by a single point to Billings Senior and have won 3 straight since, including a 34-20 win over Helena. Spartans travel to the capital city to take on a Bengals team coming off of last week's offensive outburst against Hellgate. Finally, Missoula Loyola will look to improve on its 3-1 start with a trip to face number 6 Eureka. This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Selway Armory. What's up, Montana? Welcome back. Nuanez now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as statewide television, SWX Montana TV. Broadcasting to you from the Northwest Motorsport Studio. Check out Northwest Motorsport online, nwmsrocks.com. That's nwmsrocks.com. They boast the largest inventory of trucks anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. Each week, catch up with Bobby Houck in a variety of capacities. And sometimes it's a one-on-one before practice. Sometimes it's a compilation of some of the best things he said in recent weeks. But Montana's head coach, historic and landmark victory. Last time out, 42-7 over Western Illinois for the Grizzlies to move to 2-0. That was his 100th victory at the helm at his alma mater. So an impressive mark by him. And he touched on that after the game. Plus, some thoughts about this week's game. Homecoming, Cal Poly coming into town. A new-look Cal Poly team led by Bo Baldwin. Primarily of Eastern Washington fame. Bo was the offensive coordinator at Eastern for 4 years on Paul Wolf's staff. Then became the head coach at Central Washington for a year. And then went back to Eastern Washington, led the Eagles 9 seasons as the head coach. Led Eastern to the 2010 National Championship and 5 other FCS semifinal playoff appearances. Now he's back in the Big Sky after a hiatus. He coached at Cal for several years. Now he's back at Cal Poly. So certainly uphill battle, rebuilding a program that under the leadership of Rich Ellerson and then Tim Walsh ran unorthodox schemes both sides of the ball, specifically the triple option offensively. So they're going to be running the single back spread now at Cal Poly. A lot of work to be done to iron things out there. But here's Coach Houck, reflective initially, and then previewing Cal Poly. It's our Houck Highlights, presented by Ryan Holloway and Miller. Well, it's time now for our Houck Highlights, featuring Montana head coach Bobby Houck. Some of the best sound bites from each week, and it's brought to you by Ryan Holloway and Miller. Paul Ryan has a long-established reputation, one of the top attorneys in the state of Montana. He's been named Missoula's top attorney 13 different times, and now his firm is expanding to add the partners of Nate Holloway and Angie Miller. A couple more attorneys who have a fierce passion for this Missoula community, Western Montana, and the entire Treasure State. No matter if you are looking for legal advice when it comes to personal injury, medical malpractice, wrongful death, or criminal defense, Ryan Holloway and Miller, they're able to take your call 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, so no matter what your legal needs, give Ryan Holloway and Miller a call today. Ryan Holloway and Miller, your Montana attorneys. This week's Houck Highlights includes several different sound bites. A couple thoughts from Bobby Houck following his 100th victory as the head coach at the University of Montana, a 42-7 domination of Western Illinois from the Missouri Valley Football Conference. And we also hear a little bit from Coach Houck's press conference on Monday, previewing this Saturday's homecoming matchup against Cal Poly, Washington Grizzly Stadium, 1 p.m. Houck Highlights presented by Ryan, Holloway, and Miller.
Learn from win 1 to 100.
I think, like anything else, you get better at things. So I've improved dramatically as a coach. But, every win that we get, it takes a lot of work by a lot of people. It's not one guy. It's a lot of work by a lot of people pouring forth a lot of themselves, the time, their efforts, emotion. So I'm a figurehead, and it's nice to be the guy that gets some of those accolades, but it's everybody else.
And is this the success you envisioned returning to your alma mater?
It is. In fact, I think I just said that in the locker room. Hey, I told them, I said, you guys, you did it. They're back. Everybody's in. Everybody's on board. Everybody's having fun. And most of all, maybe us.
Coach, you mentioned that you're the figurehead of this, but you have some great assistant coaches. So can you talk about just their, performance, as it were, for the last couple of weeks? Because it seems like they've done a pretty darn good job of paying attention to everything that you guys need.
Yeah, we have I don't know how you would quantify this statement, but we have as experienced veteran staff as there is in maybe any staff in the country. I'm not just talking FCS. Everywhere. These guys can coach. They've won a lot. They know what they're doing. They've won a lot of games. They understand how to get their guys ready to go. And it's fun to watch them coach. They did a magnificent job this week getting our team back centered, focused on the next opponent. I just thought it was terrific by our staff. And, the key is it's such a great place to work. It's such a great place to live. It's attractive. And, hopefully we do our best to keep our staff together, because these guys, they've coached at all the places. They don't have to be here for employment. And I just love the work they do, obviously.
One more. Montana head coach Bobby Houck following his team's 42-7 victory over Western Illinois to move to 2-0 during this non-conference season. The Grizz took a bye last week. They opened up Big Sky Conference play at home against Cal Poly, a Cal Poly team with an objectively and totally different identity than what Montana has faced in the past. Cal Poly for a long time was an FCS independent team coached by Rich Ellerson. Payam Sadat, who's now the defensive coordinator at Portland State, he was the DC there. And Rich Ellerson used to be the DC at Arizona when they were running the famed Desert Swarm flex defense. Those Cal Poly teams as independents, really darn good. Made the playoffs a couple times, had multiple Buck Buchanan Award winners, including guys like Chris Gokong and Jordan Shotwell. Really good string of linebackers, 3 different Buck Buchanan Award winners during that span. And of course, running the famed and infamous triple option. When they passed the reins to Tim Walsh, same sort of philosophy on offense, and continue to have great linebackers defensively, albeit weren't running the flex defense anymore, but guys like Cameron Anko, Nick DeZubnar, he's still in the NFL playing for the Carolina Panthers. So they had great talent, but for whatever reason, their talent dipped the last couple years, which made the triple option seem even more antiquated, and Tim Walsh, he retired following the 2019 season. Enter Bo Baldwin, a guy who spent 9 seasons as a head coach at Eastern Washington and more than a decade at Eastern overall between his time as the offensive coordinator there at Eastern from 2002 to 2006. He took a 1-year hiatus to Central Washington 2007, returned to Eastern Washington 2008, and was there until 2016. Led the Eagles to the FCS national title in 2010, as well as 5 other semifinal appearances. Baldwin known for his famed spread single-back offense. It's a hybrid of the old Dennis Erickson offense, a lot of influence from Greg Olson, who is now the offensive coordinator for the Oakland Raiders. And Baldwin, he's put his own spin on it as well, and he's continued to diversify it as well. Brought in Troy Taylor in 2016, and that team was the most prolific passing team in the history of college football. Gage Gubrud threw for almost 6,000 yards. Cooper Kupp, Kendrick Bourne, both well over 1,200 yards that season. So can that be replicated in San Luis Obispo at Cal Poly? It remains to be seen, but if anybody can do it, it's Coach Baldwin, one of the best coaches in the history of the Big Sky Conference. His staff littered with recognizable names. Nick Nick Edwards, former All-American wide receiver. He's the offensive coordinator at Cal Poly. Eric Meyer, former Big Sky Conference MVP and Walter Payton Award winner as a quarterback at Eastern. He's the quarterbacks coach at Cal Poly. J.C. Sherritt, former Buck Buchanan Award-winning linebacker at Eastern Washington. He's the defensive coordinator at Cal Poly. You also got guys with recognizable names like Paul Wolf, former Eastern and Washington State head coach, coaching on the offensive line. Josh Latuiasanoa, who was a great outside linebacker for Cal Poly. He's now helping out as well. Cody Von Oppen, who played a little bit at Montana and Northern Arizona, is helping out on defense as well there at Cal Poly. So a recognizable staff to be sure, and definitely an uphill battle for Cal Poly as they change their schematics, their culture, their identity, everything. But Bo Baldwin will get it rolling at some point. Montana, Cal Poly, Washington Grizzly Stadium. Here's a couple more thoughts from Bobby Houck on this week's matchup. You're listening to 102.9 ESPN Missoula, as well as statewide television, SWX Montana TV. It's our Houck Highlights, giving you the best of Bobby Houck each week. It's presented to you by Ryan, Holloway, and Miller, your Montana attorneys.
Coming off the open date, we had some good practices last week. I thought it was well done by our players. We got some recruiting done, so our coaches got on the road a little bit, and then we did some self-scouts, so some pretty normal time well spent on an open date. That was good. And then Cal Poly's coming to town for homecoming, so we're excited to get back on schedule, get refocused. As I mentioned, homecoming, so it should be some great fun in Missoula this weekend. And we've got a 1-2 Cal Poly team coming in here. They'll be hungry to beat us. We know a lot about them. We've been watching them for a week. And then, we have an understanding that they've got a fairly veteran team that's dropped 2 in a row. They have 9 senior starters. We have 9 senior starters, so we'll see where that goes.
How do you hope your team's mindset changes, and what is different just about the mindset it requires to play Big Sky Conference games?
Yeah, I don't know that the mindset has to change personally. I think you have to approach every week trying to win that Saturday, so that's what we're going to do. But the addition with Big Sky Conference games is the goal here is always to win a Big Sky championship. So, you got to go get them if you hope to do that. Yeah, open dates come where they come, and the schedule's set, so you plan for it. We really do about the same thing on every open date. I mean, the only time it's more beneficial than another, in my opinion, is if you're banged up and you get another week to heal up. But we just kind of do what we do. Hopefully we'll have a nice routine week and be ready to go Saturday. I did tell our guys that I was disappointed we weren't playing last weekend because I'm enjoying watching them play. So we had to wait an extra week. It'll be fun this weekend.
Coach, I think when Grizz fans think of Cal Poly, you kind of think of triple option. Obviously, that's not the case anymore, but they do know Bo Baldwin. So how would you maybe describe, especially on offense, maybe their identity, what they look like? Is it similar to Baldwin's days at Eastern? Or?
I mean, they're 11 and 12 personnel. They're throwing it a little bit more than they run it right now. And, I mean, it's pretty standard stuff.
How would you define just Coach Baldwin himself? What do you think caused him to have so much success his first time around at Eastern Washington?
Well, I think, and they've got a bunch of the Eastern contingent down there. Paul Wolf's there, and J.C. Sherritt and Eric Meyer all on staff. They're all guys we know well and like. That's the last. I mean, it's 08, 09, so that's quite a while ago. I don't recall exactly, and I haven't gone back and watched the 08 and 09 films. So,
Coach, so much is made of Cal Poly's offensive transition. What do you see defensively? How do they look different?
Well, they try to mix fronts a little bit. I think they're going to play odd and even. I don't even know which one they consider their base. Probably the even front. They do some good things schematically. I think they make you prepare for a lot of things. So, they got the Shotwell kid at linebacker. Seems like there's been a bunch of those guys there. I hope this is the last one. They've all been good players, and he is too.
So there you go, the best of Bobby Houck from over the last couple weeks. It's Houck Highlights presented by Ryan Holloway and Miller. No matter what your legal needs, from personal injury to medical malpractice to wrongful death to criminal defense, Paul Ryan, Nate Holloway, and Angie Miller, they're your go-to call. You can call them 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The phone lines are always open, and they're always there to answer your questions, take your calls, and help you solve all your legal problems. Give Ryan Holloway and Miller a call today. Ryan Holloway and Miller, your Montana attorneys. Hellgate Knights in action tonight against Kalispell Flathead here in Missoula. Mick Morris here on Nuanez Now, head coach of the Knights, next.
Open your new Stockman Bank account anytime, anywhere with online account opening. Now, you can open an account in minutes on your laptop, tablet, or mobile phone. It's convenient, simple, and secure. Open your new account today at stockmanbank.com. Then, add our online and mobile banking services so you can manage your money when, where, and how you want. Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. Member FDIC.
Heroin, fentanyl, prescription pain relievers like Oxy and hydrocodone. All are opioids that, when misused, can cause an overdose. Naloxone is a medication that can reverse an opioid overdose. Naloxone is available at no cost through select community organizations in Montana. No prescription is needed. Opioid overdoses are increasing. Having naloxone on hand can save a life. Reverse opioid overdoses with naloxone. Learn more at naloxone.mt.gov. Brought to you by DPHHS.
If you haven't stopped in at the Eagles Lodge lately, why not today? Ask your server about daily drink specials and enjoy brand new gaming machines. Lunch is served Monday through Friday from 11 to 2:30. Remember, Wednesdays and Thursdays, trivia starts at 7 o'clock. Karaoke is at 8. Proceeds enable the Eagles to make generous donations to local fundraisers and charities like CASA and Big Brothers and Sisters. Come on by today. Everyone's welcome at the Eagles Lodge in Missoula on South Avenue next to Rose Hours.
The world of real estate is always evolving. That's more true now than ever. If you are a longtime Missoulian that is looking to upgrade or downsize, it might be the best time yet to sell. If you're in the position to buy something new, today might be the best time to buy. And no matter what questions you have when it comes to residential or commercial real estate, Mike Nugent and the professionals at Berkshire Hathaway in Missoula have your answers. To find out what Mike can do for you, give him a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
Grizz Hockey is back. At long last, the University of Montana will have a hockey team with some of the best talent and premier game night atmospheres of any rink in the West. Every weekend from October to February, Grizz Hockey will take on the Northwest's best college hockey teams. On Friday and Saturday nights, Glacier Ice Rink will be the place to be, enjoying a cold beverage and rooting on the Grizz. If you can't make it down to the rink, you can hear me, John Wall, right here on 102.9 FM ESPN Missoula for each and every Grizz Hockey home game. For more information on tickets, scheduling, and more, visit grizzhockey.com.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's producer Tommy from Nuanez Now. Did you know you don't even need a radio to listen to Nuanez Now? You can watch Nuanez Now all around the state of Montana on SWX television, channel 199 on Charter or 23.3 on terrestrial television. Plus, you can stream every minute of Nuanez Now live on YouTube. Tune into the stream on 1029ESPN.com or find ESPN Missoula on the TuneIn Radio app. 46 weekdays on 1029 ESPN Radio.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Yo, what's up? Ryan Tutel, Mary Lou's Cook, Duncan Hamilton, our good friend Carolyn, Bobby Houck. It's been a jam-packed show. If you want to listen to anything in today's show, you can find it on the podcast. Probably presented by Blackfoot Communications, Sportsbet Montana, and the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. The Hellgate Knights take on the Flathead Braves tonight in Missoula. Andrew Houghton caught up with Mick Morris, Hellgate head coach, earlier this week.
All right, we're here with Hellgate head coach Mick Morris for this week's edition of the Garden City Spotlight. Hellgate coming off a 63-6 loss to Helena that dropped the Knights to 1-2, but with a chance to get back to 500 this week, going into a Thursday home game against Flathead. So, Coach, let's just start there. We're talking to you the day before your game. What have you been focusing on this week going into Flathead?
Well, we licked our wounds a little bit this week. We, kind of got a
an old-fashioned butt kicking last week at the Grizz Stadium. So, we kind of just focused on kind of maybe washing that a little bit and then really moving on and, continuing to hopefully get better and prepare for a Flathead team that I'm sure has us circled on their schedules, thinking it might be one of their games that they might be able to win. So we know we're going to get their best effort.
Sure, and Flathead at 0-4 heading into this game. Braves haven't scored more than 7 points in a game so far. But what have you seen from them on tape? I mean, what do you think they're going to come into Missoula with?
Well, they got a pretty athletic quarterback, and so, teams that have, shut them down have shut him down. So that's kind of been our focus. He does a good job of scrambling around and getting outside the pocket. And, the other thing with him is, they haven't quit. You haven't seen that real rollover sometimes when teams start getting beaten down. So, there's certain games that schools like like us and Flathead and stuff, we look at and we know it's going to be a real tough challenge. There's other games on the schedule where, you look at and you think, we got a shot to win this. So, I think this is one of those games for both of us. So I'm sure they're gonna show up ready to roll.
Yeah, and going back to the Helena game last week, I mean, did it just start to snowball on you, or what did they do to make things difficult for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we didn't do a great job as coaches schematically, especially on defense. We thought maybe we could try to get some pressure on Hewitt, and we weren't able to do that. And because we maybe, put a little bit too many guys in the box, it really, put pressure on our defensive backs and allowed their receivers to kind of have openings. And so, they scored on the first drive, and then, we came out on offense, fumbled our first snap. And then we actually got a stop inside our own 20 on their second possession. So we're feeling okay, and then proceeded to go 3-and-out, and they scored again. We got the ball back and punted it, 3-and-out again, punted it. They ran it back to about the 10-yard line and scored again. So, we're 4 minutes into the game and down 21-0. So it's not a good feeling as a program. So, yeah, I mean, they played really well. I mean, credit to them. And they came off of a loss against Butte that they were pretty bitter about, and they made every play, man. I mean, they executed. Quarterback did an amazing job. Their receivers got open. They caught the ball defensively. They flew around. They played mistake-free football.
So there you go, Mick Morris, part of our Garden City Spotlight. Hellgate takes on Kalispell Flathead tonight, Missoula County Public Stadium. Tomorrow's show will feature Matt Johnson from Missoula Big Sky, whose team is at home here tomorrow against Butte, one of the upstart teams in the state. And we'll also feature Dane Oliver, his Sentinel Spartans on the road at Helena High. So we'll look forward to hearing from those guys. Tomorrow's show will be a fun one. Those two coaches coming by, as will Daniel Hardy, senior defensive end for Montana State, and Sammy Kim, senior wide receiver for the Montana Grizzlies. And, of course, your main man, my main man, the man, Rajeen Seabrook, back in the studio with me. Thanks so much for hanging with us. Thanks so much to all my great contributors. Everybody helps make this show what it is. It's always fun giving you all the best. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the diversification. I just love having a lot of voices on. Love giving the platform to a lot of different people, because there's a lot of different people around this state that deserve accolades, credit, and commentary for all their good work. Come see us Saturday. The Twisted Tailgate Show, College Game Day, will be coming to you live starting at 11 a.m. You can find all that on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. But you can also come just kick it with us live. The Badland will be slanging drinks. Twisted Tea has a big promotion going on. We got swag from RV Truck Sales, Ryan Holloway and Miller, Carl Tyler Chevrolet, Pepsi. So come see us Saturday. See you then.
All right, we're here with Hellgate. All right, we're here with.
I love family road trips. Wind in my ears.
Good dog.
Braids in my mouth. And peace of mind knowing Les Schwab did our tires, brakes, and alignment. Like Les Schwab, my family's safety is my first priority. Well, that and squeaky toys.
Swing by today and get road trip ready with our always free pre-trip safety check.
Les Schwab Tires. Applies to passenger cars, SUVs, and light trucks only. Details at leschwab.com/safety.
Hey, it's Colter Nuanez from Nuanez Now. I'm here with Brent Wahlberg of the Wahlberg team at Windermere Real Estate. And Brent, you guys have been the official realtors of Grizz Athletics for quite some time. What most do you like about supporting the Grizz in Missoula?
Born and raised here in Missoula. I grew up 2 blocks off campus. A lot of us Montana kids were growing up on weekends in the fall. You're out in the woods hunting. I was sitting in Dorm Blazer and then Washington Grizzly Stadium watching the Grizz. I grew up with Grizz in my blood. It's just a wonderful part of our community and happy to be a part of it.
Give the Wahlberg team a call.